Good afternoon and welcome to the third day of Open Education Week 2024 at Notre Dame University, NDU. Today we have the pleasure of probing into the dynamic land of open educational resources as we explore the integration of OER into the art of public speaking. Our presenter today are not just educators, they are innovators in embracing teaching methodologies that leverage the power of OER to enhance the public speaking course at NDU. In a unique and engaging format, our speakers will present their experiences through a dialogue, offering a dynamic exchange of ideas that promises to be both enlightening and inspiring. So without further ado, I'm happy to introduce our colleagues, Dr. Maya El-Hajj and Mrs. Nathalia Geha from the Faculty of Humanities at NDU, who will share their knowledge and experiences on the transformative journey of integrating OER into the public speaking curriculum. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Maya and Nathalia. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Barwood. It's an honor for us to be present here. Thank you so much for the trust. I had the privilege and the opportunity to co-author Chapter 6 also in the Open Educational Resources and Open Pedagogy in Lebanon and South Africa due to your trust. So it's Chapter 6, titled A Case Study of OER Implementation at Notre Dame University, Lebanon. So before I start my discussion with Nathalia on the integration of open educational resources into our public speaking courses and communication art courses at NDU, I would like just to give you a briefing about our chapter, Dr. Azde. So in response to the transformative impact of COVID.
So this is just a reminder for the audience. This is the book that was launched on Monday. On our first day, we launched this book. That's what Maya, she authored the chapter 6. She will tell us a little bit about it. Go ahead, Maya.
So in response, thank you, Dr. Barwood. In response to the transformative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the educational institutions globally, including Notre Dame University in Lebanon, have actually embraced technology-enabled distance learning. So our study focused on NDU's use of open educational resources to develop innovative courses via the university's learning management system, LMS. By transforming OER content into interactive SCORM models, SCORM is Shareable Content Object Reference Model, the aim is to enhance students' engagement and to promote the 21st century competencies. So the study evaluated the perceived learning experience of students enrolled in the Introduction to Computer CSC 201, highlighting the effectiveness of the OER-based course model. Ultimately, the study underscored the role of OER in reducing textbook costs and ensuring equal access to education amidst unprecedented disruption. Today, I'll be discussing also with Nathalia the integration of OER into public speaking, as I said, and communication art courses at NDU. So that was a briefing about my chapter, and thank you again for the opportunity. Nathalia, may I ask you, how did OER become a part of the public speaking ENL 111 and the communication arts courses, the ENL 223 communication arts as major courses in our department?
So first of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Barwood, for the very nice introduction, I would say. And thank you, Dr. Maya, for working with me on this presentation. It's always a pleasure. So just to answer your question, well, basically, introducing OER into the department started with ENL 213. So that was, if we can call it, our prototype course And Dr. Baroud is also aware of that from our previous presentations during OER week in past years. It started with Dr. Sandra Dwyer when she was reorganizing and rewriting the syllabus for ENL 213. And this is when we decided to test how would OER work in English courses. So what would the outcome be? And of course, the professors who were on the team working on ENL 213 and revising it with OER actually conducted a study that sort of showed results on how OER helped students become more engaged in the classroom. So it started off with 213, as I said, and then the next course into which the English department or the DET introduced OER was ENL 223, which is, yes, a public speaking course. And it was designed a little bit differently. It was designed by Dr. Anna Hodzik, who used to be a full-time faculty member at the DET. And that was the course that actually received a grant from the US Embassy. So the grant included redesigning the public speaking course for junior, mainly junior and senior students, and reviving it in a sense because not many students were registering for that course. So it was perhaps predicted that using OER in that course would get more students engaged and would get more students to register, and therefore we would be able to open up more sections of that course, which
Actually, it's a
actually
popular
worked.
course, Natalia, in our department.
Which is, I'm sorry.
It is a popular course in our
Yes, now
department.
it's a popular course. Exactly. I was about to say that it became more popular. Students love it. Those who register, of course, take it on a voluntary basis. So they're not forced to take it because they're given a choice between 223 and other English courses. And this is why we are able to see the engagement based on using OER in that course. The third course to which we introduced OER was the freshman public speaking course. Which students also take. They're not obliged to take it, of course, because during their freshman year, they're given a choice, a range of courses to take. And so it's also a voluntary basis. And using OER in that course, the way it was designed was a bit similar to the way it was previously designed in 213. As I said, 223 was designed a little bit differently, but with English 111 and English 213, we followed the same system. And I will demonstrate a little bit later on. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask you, how can you show us, or if you can show us how 223 is designed based on OER? So if you can talk about the resources, maybe rubrics, etc. And then I will move to asking you about if you can show us how instructors and students know that actually it's an OER book. If you can demonstrate this through examples, that makes it easier for them to understand exactly how they can benefit from it.
Yes, of course, of course. And this is why I'm sharing my screen. So so let me just turn this off. So I will walk you a little bit through the 223 course just to show you how it's designed on a module basis, and I will show you how instructors are able to find the resources they need easily, instructors and students actually, so both. And I will show you how what kind of impact, or I'll explain what kind of impact this has had on instructors and students through experience, of course, and through, as I mentioned earlier, a study conducted by the department among professors or instructors other than myself. So of course, like every Blackboard course, you've definitely got the basic items here, which is the instructor info, the syllabus, but then the real work starts here in the second section with modules. So with 223, and this was designed by Anna Hodzik, and we continued using this system because we found that it was very practical, and that all instructors had to do was follow the syllabus to be able to go to the material that they required for the week. So it's not designed on a week-by-week basis as was 213 at the beginning. It's designed into modules from module 1A up until module 6, I believe. So if you can see, I'm just scrolling down. If there are any problems with sharing or seeing the screen, please let me know.
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, so there we've got it, 6 modules, and a couple of those modules are divided into submodules, A and B, of course. The first half of the course, I would say, or less than half, relies on a more theoretical background of public speaking, and this is why there are links that I will show you in a bit where students have to go into OER textbooks or open access textbooks. And then the second half of the course is more of a practical based course where students, of course, have to go back to the theory that they studied at the beginning of the semester and then apply that theory in their speeches. So as with every OER course or OER dependent course in the department, we definitely have a section that introduces OER. At this stage, students have already taken 213 or are taking 213 at the same time, so they know what OER is, but still we introduce it. And then we get into the course. And I'll just go into one of those modules to show you how the module is designed into links and, well, let's say theoretical and practical material based on OER. So in almost every module, you've got one or more reading chapters. These reading chapters go back to a textbook. And this textbook is online and it's available to all educators, all students, anyone who wants to just go in and read the textbook. And this is what makes it simple, easy, and, well, easy access basically. So if you go into the chapter itself, the chapter will show you, of course, let's say this is chapter 6 from the textbook, engaging your audience. And then you've got the chapter that students will read at home and then present in class with their instructor. Now, the reason it's chapter 6, and let's say we're not going chapter by chapter as in 1, 2, 3, is because we use several resources in each course. So whether it's 2 to 3, 213, or 111, we don't rely on one textbook. We don't rely on one source or one type of resource. We rely on several, and this is what makes designing the course sort of challenging. I wouldn't say difficult, it's more challenging, because this is where the instructor who's designing the course has to bring material from here and there and combine all of this material into one syllabus or one course, which is, of course, more challenging than just ordering a textbook online and using that textbook and having students just buy that one textbook. Now, the benefit is, well, the advantage, I would say, is that once it's designed, it's ready. However, at the same time, it's ready, but still the instructor or the coordinator every semester has to go back into the modules, into every link, and make sure those links are still accessible to the instructors teaching the course. Because sometimes material is out there under a Creative Commons license. It's OER, it's easy access, open access, but sometimes, for some reason, this material is no longer there at some point. Okay, so we always have to go back, double check, is the chapter still available? Is the book still available for us to use? If not, then we need to replace it. This happens rarely, I would say. It doesn't happen often. So other than the reading chapters, we definitely have videos that students need to watch because, of course, it's a public speaking course. So demonstrations are always helpful. Okay, and then we upload the assignments at the same time in each module. Some of these assignments are based on or have a Creative Commons license, such as a couple of assignments in modules 5 and 6. However, others are just designed by the coordinator or the instructors teaching the course, which is fine because in almost every course, especially a course like this one, which is really versatile and has a lot of variety, we need to sometimes blend between material that's open access to instructors and material that's not, or we have to modify based on our students' needs. So this goes for modules and the availability of material here. for students and instructors to use. And this makes students sort of independent, I would say. It gives them more autonomy because, well, students love technology. Our students love technology. And for them to go online and just, look into those modules, explore, go into this link and that one, well, it adds to their curiosity. And they feel more independent. It's not like we're writing on the board, let's say, read chapter 4 from pages 20 to 32 at home and then come back with your books to class. All they have to do is sit in bed, use their phone, open up to Blackboard, click on that link, and that's it. It's easy access. And this is what most of them do. And this is what helped teaching this course online as well. It's made it easy for us to teach it online, although it's a public speaking course. Now, the second thing that's also OER based is the resources section. And this is where the students and the instructors, of course, have access to all the open textbooks that we're using throughout the semester. As I said, the chapters come from here and there. So we don't rely on one book because sometimes one chapter, or let's say 3 chapters, could be helpful from that book, but we need 2 chapters from another textbook that could be more supportive, or let's say that could meet our needs. So this is why we use different resources here. We also have sample speeches, and these go under a Creative Commons license. So the CC license that shows that it's an OER. And then we've got the speech banks, of course, which gives students a variety of sample speeches to take a look at or for instructors to use in class. And usually, let's say these speeches can be easily uploaded on YouTube with a CC license. And I'll show you later how a couple of our students have done that as well in the past. So this is mainly it for the resources. The rubrics are also, found online, and they hold a Creative Commons license, as do a couple of assignments in modules 5 and 6. So I'll just show you one more thing with this course just to complete the answer to Maya's question. In module 6, I believe they're in the prototype. I usually keep them here. Let's hope they are. So this speech analysis 2, for example, this is a Creative Commons licensed assignment. Okay. So if we take a look at this section, the video CVs that students have to do at the end of the semester, this is their final project. And so what we did here is we uploaded video CVs that our students have done, and we can see the date. And if we actually access, I'm not going to access now so it doesn't play, but if we access the link to this CV, to this video CV, the student uploaded it under a Creative Commons license. We all have that option on YouTube, right? And this gives, well, she's basically giving us permission to use her video CV in class. So we've got the first one that was done just to test the waters, was Dr. Hozik's student, Isaac Cho. He recently graduated, actually, and his video CV is there, and he's very happy that we're using it in our classes. He's an audiovisual arts student. And Sophie Khalil, Joanne Kairouz, and Gayal Abi'al were my students back in 2017. And I took permission to upload their video CVs onto YouTube with a Creative Commons license. They signed that they're giving me permission to use their video CVs with a Creative Commons license in the 223 course. So now all instructors teaching the course have access and they can use them. So I guess this is basically it for 223.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to ask you about your students, Nathalia. I wanted to ask you if you have tried publishing students' speeches, and you have already answered, just as a motivation for the instructors and for the students. And I wanted to ask you also about the Creative Commons license, to which you have already answered, but I want you to elaborate on this, because usually I'm always asked about Creative Commons license. And I want to comment a little bit on what you said. You said this makes the students more motivated, more excited, because it's user-friendly, and that's what facilitates their life. They can do things themselves, they can log in, etc. So it's for them a user-friendly. And when you mentioned the resources that are regularly updated, this is a good sign as well, because the links that no longer exist, and we face some problems here at the English level in the English courses. Sometimes we try to search a certain link, but it is no longer there. It means that they usually, they regularly update, right, the references and the resources, and that's the reason.
Yes, well, I think in a sense, Dr. Baroud is more knowledgeable about why these links are no longer available, or why we need to kind of renew. But sometimes I guess it's just a decision for the publisher, maybe, or the authors, not to give
It disappears.
open
It's
access
not
to
that
the.
it's regularly. It disappears and it's not updated, right?
Yeah, so let's say we're using a textbook, a specific textbook, and when we're searching for OER material, or when we're searching for material that has a Creative Commons license, we specify what we want when we use the search engine, and we find a textbook that we like, and then maybe a couple of years later, the link just doesn't open anymore. So I go to module 2B, I open the reading chapter, it doesn't open. So I believe sometimes it's just the author's decision to no longer make this textbook available for open use or easy access. I don't really know exactly the reason. It could be a marketing issue. It could be a personal reason. I think Dr. Baroud knows more about this.
We can, yeah, we can refer to Dr. Baroud.
Because my job is mainly finding information. And so what is available, I use what is available, of course, by comparing what is available.
That's excellent. Natalia, can you please just remind us of the Creative Commons license? And you said, as I said, you already encouraged your students to publish. Do you encourage instructors in general to publish their students' work and speeches in particular?
Yes, well, the thing is that because 223 was designed as such due to the grant that the department received, the faculty received, the next step was actually before COVID, I would say. The next step was to have students in all 223 sections record their speeches in one spot, okay, using, of course, software. And let's say to professionally record with the correct lighting, with professional camera, etc. And then we publish those speeches. Of course, they have to be published not by the student per se, but under the name of the faculty and the department and the course on YouTube with a Creative Commons license. And then, of course, COVID changed a lot of things, and this was one of them. It was actually Dr. Maria Schlela who was working on this project, and she was coordinating the course before the lockdown. So we do hope we can go back to doing this, or we can start doing this, because it's sort of a continuation of using the grant we received.
Exactly, exactly. Natalia, you know that the ENL 111, which is the public speaking course, is for, in general, at NDU for the freshman students, and the ENL 223, which is the communication arts course for our students at the university level. Can you just clarify in the content of the course the differences that are here between the 111 and the 223, as they are both public speaking courses?
Yes, of course. This is a good question, because lots of students ask that question. I mean, especially students who are taking 111, because when they want to go up to their junior or senior years, they want to see, okay, do we take 223? Do we take 231, 230? We have a choice among 3 courses here. And so this is what we have to explain and what advisors have to explain as well. And they do that if the students ask, of course. So there are some similarities between the 2 courses for sure, but there are a lot of differences. The first difference I would say is the way the course is designed. So if we go into the material, it's designed into a weekly schedule. It's not designed into a module by module basis. This is 111, the public speaking course. So we divide the course into weeks because this is a student's first semester or second semester, and they're still familiarizing themselves with what we call a syllabus, with a university system, etc. So when we design it week by week based on the weeks and the syllabus, it makes them easy. It makes it easier for them to refer back to the syllabus and back to Blackboard. And so it's not confusing. Now, by the time students get to 223, it's easy to ask them, okay, go to module 2C, for example, and find the reading chapter, right? So here we make it more user-friendly for freshman students who have just started university. Now, the difference, of course, in the syllabus here is that, for example, the module I showed you, module 6, we don't do that in 111. We don't ask them to write a CV or to design and record a video CV. We don't ask them to give a persuasive speech, which is based on a why you should hire me speech. So we did that in 223 so that we can find common ground between 230 and 223 for students who do not want to, register for 230, so that they can still learn through the English department how to write their CVs. So we don't want to deprive them of that. So there are differences in the way the courses are designed. There are differences in the material given, in the assignments for sure. There are differences in the material we use or the resources we use. So we don't use the same textbooks that are the OER textbooks in 111, because let's say in 223 there's more reading to do. The chapters are longer, they're more dense, they're more detailed. 111 it's more for freshman students. We don't want to scare them with that much reading, right? So we give them something simple to read. So this is one of the links. Okay, the difference between prepared and impromptu speeches. This is not something we do in 223. They directly start with a special occasion speech in 223. And it's just one page designed with subtitles, point by point, lists, right? That makes it easy. It's a page from a book, of course. OER, Creative Commons license, I believe. But it's easy for them to read. So when you ask them to read one page instead of a chapter of, let's say, 15 pages, of course, this gets them more interested, more engaged, because it's their first semester. They're still new, they're still fresh. So this also helps with what? With retention at the same time, right? I mean, one of the minor factors that might help with retention. So the material is different, the resources are different, but at the same time, yes, there are similarities, as in some of the speeches they give would be, let's say, the common speeches, the same speeches are the special occasion and informative speeches. But in 111, they're shorter. They don't have to give a 7-minute speech or a 5-minute speech. They give a 3-minute speech. They write less. They deliver less. And we're more flexible with them. Well, in both classes, we should be, I guess, more flexible in having students and giving students a chance to try again, because what makes you give a good speech is basically practice. Yeah, that's it, maybe.
Nathalia, here I move to my last question. And I would like to ask you to show us, and I know you've elaborated a lot on this Fulbright poster presentation on OER, and if you can try to link the content to your experiences with OER courses, especially here at NZU.
Okay, sure. Let me just get to the poster. Well, just to mention a couple of things. the Fulbright poster. Well, this was a final poster. We had to all design a final poster at the end of our Fulbright term, which was of course a 3-month summer term, and the poster was mainly a showcase and a summary of what we had been working on during our term, our semester or half semester there. So I decided to work at the time on open educational resources and how using open educational resources could lead to more engagement in the classroom and could, on the long run, help with retention as well. Or let's say, for example, making the 2 to 3 course more popular. So this was a final presentation I worked on. And at the time, we had just started with OER and the department, and it was new, it was fresh, it was interesting. But as I said, this was in 2017, so I wouldn't say that the literature is more recent than that. Okay, let me just try to access it here. It might be a little bit vague sharing on the screen, but I will just explain briefly. Let me see. Yeah, just give me a minute. Okay, so mainly this is a poster that was designed at the time. At least I would like you at least to see the subtitles. I know the typing could be a bit small, but what I tried to do I was mainly writing a literature review at the time. So, and as I said, we had to present our literature reviews through a poster presentation. So I tried to make a link here between using open education resources in the classroom, mainly, of course, the English classroom, and student engagement, because it's very difficult, I would say, to get students engaged in courses that they have to take, such as 213. And at the time, 213 was a prototype, as I said. And at the same time, student retention. Now, there's a lot of correlation I would say between using OER and student engagement, because as I mentioned earlier, it gives students more independence, more autonomy, and students like this nowadays. They like to feel free in their education. They don't really like a rigid system, a rigid structure. So this kind of gives them that freedom using such resources. However, between OER and retention, at the time, the correlation wasn't that strong. And I think it's because it kind of has to happen long term, on the long run, to keep on using open education resources, and not just one course, but in a variety of courses. And as we can see now, we're using them across campus. So it's no longer just in one department and one faculty. And yes, it could help with student retention, because students are no longer buying textbooks in those courses. The material is just given to them. And you can see the look of relief on their faces during that first session when you tell them, you don't need to buy a textbook. The material is on Blackboard. And I'll show you how to use that material. And we know that, okay, we would say that a textbook is a very small, let's say the cost of a textbook is a small percentage when compared to the cost of a course or a credit, but at the same time, it accumulates. And students have in the past photocopied textbooks, even when I was a student and when OER was not in the picture yet. But now we're also avoiding that, because here we're doing things legally. There's a license to every source we use, and these resources are there. They're available for everyone to use. So it's like a copyright license when you buy a textbook. So yes, it could help with retention because it minimizes cost as well. But with student engagement, through the literature that I read and through my experience in these courses, in all 3 courses, I would say that it definitely gets students engaged. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathalia. You're done with the poster, or you have more?
Well, it's just, I briefly explained now just student engagement, student retention, and the correlation.
So we are going to open the floor for questions, but before, let me just sum up. To sum up, combining open education resources with public speaking, in my opinion, with public speaking courses and communication arts is really a big win, and we have experienced this at the level of the department. It actually gives learners more ways to learn and improve themselves, how they express themselves actually, and this integration makes education more accessible and helps people become better communicators. As always, Dr. Baroud says, let's keep using OER to make learning and speaking up easier for everyone.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Maya, Nathalia, for this excellent, wonderful presentation, where you have touched on, a very important terminologies, when it comes to open access, open education, student engagement, retention. I will open the floor. I have a couple of questions to Nathalia and Maya, if I may, but I will open the floor for the audience. If you have any questions for Nathalia or Maya, please raise your hand. Amin, our dear librarian, and Amin is a strong advocate for OER and open access at NDU. Amin, the floor is yours, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Baroud, and I have to thank you for this series this week. They keep getting more exciting and more interesting, and you're keeping the best as we go throughout the week. Thank you, Dr. Hajj. Thank you, Dr. Geha, for this excellent presentation. Really eye-opening, and I myself I learned a lot during this session. I have 2 questions for you. One regarding the resources, the open access resources and open education resources that you place for students on Blackboard. And you're saying that students would love that because there is no textbook required, as would be in other courses. My question is regarding accreditation. I'm not sure about the Faculty of Humanities accreditation, but thinking of accreditation and moving forward towards accreditation in case you need to apply for any, would accreditation have any restrictions on you using open education resources or directing you towards certain publishers and certain agendas when it comes to using books? And if I may, my other question, I'll just pose the other question. Does having open educational resources on Blackboard and gathering together and putting together the course, because I've seen that you use several resources for every course, does this open education trend put more work on you? Would it have been easier to adopt just one textbook and go with it?
Maya, would you like to start with the accreditation question, and then I can answer the next one?
Well, actually, I don't, Dr. Baroud could also answer this question, but I don't see any restriction for the accreditation or using OER courses and material. We are actually applying this for our English, some courses in English and languages as well. So,
yeah, thank you, Maya. That's right. What Maya is saying, I don't think accreditation agencies have an agreement with traditional textbook publisher companies, So, of course, it doesn't, Even in the United States, I mean, now, if you look at a lot of universities, they have what they call zero degree, and this is one of my target at NDU.
Zero textbook, yeah,
zero textbook or zero degree they call it. And my intention, we're gonna get one day that our student, from day one when they join NDU, okay, until they graduate, they don't have to buy any traditional textbook. Instead, they'll be using open textbooks and open educational resources. To answer your question, no, that at the contrary, they'll be very happy, you know, that you're doing this. And again, you know, the accreditation agents, you know, American accreditation, you know, are leading in the United States, and the Department of Education in the United States, you know, are on the top list of advocates for open education and OER. So, if to answer your question.
Thank you.
I would just like to add that even Ivy League universities in the States, such as MIT, they've got on their website, you can go into open education resources on their website even, and they actually promote it. They promote that they use these resources for specific courses, and as Dr. Baroud said, for specific degrees even. So
yeah, well, Nathalia, you know, if I may add here, it's MIT were the leaders back then
yes.
in 2000, you know, where they have decided to put all their materials, you know, from the syllabus to readings, homework, and they called it, it's known as open courseware. And this is what
Yes.
open courseware, and now hundreds of universities in the United States are following the model of MIT.
Yes.
So you can take their materials, you can translate it, you can Arabize it, you can put it in French, whatever. The only thing you don't have access to is the instructor who are teaching those courses. But the whole courses, the whole material is available online under an open license. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Dr. Kamal
There was a
question.
second question.
Dr.
Yeah.
Dr. Kamal Aboushid has a question.
And Nathalia, will answer both questions, like, you know, after Dr. Kamal's question, because I didn't have a second question.
Thank you so much for the informative presentation, Nathalie. And concerning the accreditation, if we mean by accreditation quality assurance, we need to pay attention to the role of ensuring the quality of the textbooks and the material, the OER material. I remember very well that the Dr. Baroud and the Center for Education Research and Development were aware of the need to ensure the quality of textbooks. So if this falls in the scope and the remit of accreditation, then yes, there is a relationship, in my opinion. And I know that the Center for Education Research and Development, with the UNESCO OER chair here, with Dr. Baroud, have developed standards for ensuring the quality of the textbooks, so that not everything that is open satisfies quality standards within the scope of quality. All right, that's the comment. So there is a relationship in a way with accreditation, but not with the institutional standards or programmatic standards, in my opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Aboushid. More questions? Do we have any?
I guess there was one more question though about the workload of the instructor who's designing, and I think this also goes back to what Dr. Kamal mentioned now. Of course, when we select material for the courses, it's as if we're selecting a textbook. So we have to be very we have to do research. So we don't pick any chapter or any textbook and just upload that on Blackboard just because it gives information. So as instructors, we are able to analyze and to judge and to see if this actually holds enough and correct information for students to use. So definitely it's the quality of the material we're using.
And this is, Nathalia, you know, this is one of the major benefits, you know, of using OER for instructors, because the instructors, you know, are always up to date, you know, researching, seeing what other people are doing. This is a very important homework for instructor to do, by, you know, instead of just taking one book and going chapter by chapter and that's it, you know. you have the sky the limit in finding, curating, remixing, adopting, OER materials, and this is very important. I mean, it is it's, the benefits are not for just students. It's the benefits are for the instructors too, right? You agree with me?
Yes, definitely, because of course we have to select recent material as well. So, but to answer your question, I mean, yes, it is a lot of work. It is hard work, definitely. I don't want to call it homework, but at the same time, as I said, I mean, once it's done and it's there, we can use it for a certain period of time. So we're not really searching and revisiting every semester, unless, as I said, the material is no longer available. But we definitely do have to stay up to date, and we do have to give them quality. Not just okay, it's OER. Not everything OER is quality at the end of the day. We do have to admit to that. But we definitely, yes, have to
Nathalia, what I want to say one thing here before, sorry to interrupt you, but as you all know, we have an OER committee at the university level.
Yes.
And our recommendation, we're finalizing the policy of OER, but, hopefully in the future, we're going to follow some models in the United States. What they're doing is each professor moving their traditional courses from to OER. They, for example, either they give them some incentives like course release, let's say, you have a course release for this semester, so that will give more time to the instructor to prepare their courses or move their courses to OER. And hopefully this will be integrated into the university policy in the future. But the main objective, we're gonna one day get to, as I said earlier, that our student will come to NDU and saying, we don't have to pay for a textbook, whether they are in the psychology or mathematics or physics. Yesterday we heard Dr. Sabra and Dr. Naka talking about their experience with the mathematics and physics, and hopefully in the future, we'll hear champions coming from the engineering, from different faculties. Another thing I want to mention about quality, there are hundreds and thousands. By the way, there are around 2 billion resources on the internet and specialized databases which are classified as OER, 2 billion. So, and there are a lot of professional digital repositories where you have this, they follow the same quality assurance like traditional textbook publisher, peer-reviewed textbook, or so on and so forth. And there are a couple of frameworks, for faculty member to evaluate, the resources they find on the internet or in those specialized digital repository. But what's needed now, Nathalia, Maya, and I think Dr. Maria is with us, is we need to train and our faculty member, give them more workshop, more training on open education resources, open licenses, so on and so forth. Yeah. I have a question, if I may, for either Nathalia or Maya. As educators, that you have embraced open education resources. What advice do you have for your colleagues who may be considering a similar approach in enhancing their courses, especially in disciplines that traditionally rely on conventional teaching materials? What advice can you give your colleagues? It doesn't have to be in your department, it can be in other departments.
Dr. Baroud, and just to answer briefly from my side, I always apply this myself and ask my colleagues and my department to apply this. Whatever makes the students more engaged, more motivated, and more independent is the right strategy to follow. So by endorsing, by partnering with OER, I think the students, as Nathalia has just mentioned, and yourself, They are more excited, more involved, more independent, and this is what makes education really easier for everyone. So it makes the learning process and really easier. So I definitely encourage them to apply it and to keep on just using the best with our students. So definitely. Nathalia.
Yeah, I would say I would add to that by saying that, well, you know, our classrooms are very diverse, and our students are very different. So you don't have one student who's similar to the other in the way they learn and the way they acquire information and the way they retain information. So yes, maybe we can say that one method is working here, or another is definitely working there. We're still not, in a sense, distinguishing much. We're not differentiating much. We're not really, in this case, what we're doing is we're applying to all. So my advice would be whether we're going to use a textbook or OER, when we go into that classroom, we need to go student by student. And of course, this is difficult in large classrooms. In English classrooms, we've got around 25 to 30 students students who are learning how to read and write in a foreign language, right? And some of them from scratch, I must say. Students are learning to give speeches in a foreign language, students who have a fear of public speaking. So in a sense, yes, we can adopt OER and apply it. We can adopt a textbook and apply it. What's important here is our methodology and not just what we're using in that classroom. So whether we're using a textbook or OER, sometimes we have to modify. Sometimes the material might be too long, too, let's say, foreign, culturally foreign, too dense, difficult to read. It doesn't match with their needs, their interests. So we need to know who our students are as we apply and as we use certain material, whether it's a textbook or OER.
Yeah, thank you, Natalia. Thank you. And it's very true what you're saying. As I said, adapting, the material and, playing the role of a facilitator more than just, teaching the material. I think Dr. Abu Shteed has a
Okay, concerning the participatory approach and engaging students in the making and the production and reproduction of knowledge, it's essential that also discuss across the quality of the textbook and the material that students have access to. And one aspect is the social annotation. A couple of weeks ago, Dr. Baroud offered training to the students, graduate students in curriculum course in the faculty, and it was about social annotation through a program called Hypothesis. I would like to that Dr. Baroud share with us some of the a note about the social annotation, because this is important and probably for the next phases of training.
Dr. Kamal, come from time to visit me in my office, and he always asked the question, what do you have something new for me? And last time, he was here, I told him about, like social annotation, annotating anything, student and the instructor can annotate together the internet, any web page, any website, any article, and this is what we call the social annotation. So, and then I explained the concept for him, and he was so excited about it and invited me to his class, graduate class, to talk about this social annotation. And hopefully, we're gonna be conducting further training for our faculty member, because it's a very powerful tool that instructor can use with their student. And this is what we call now, under the open umbrella, it's called open pedagogy, where the creation of content and material happens not just from one side, just following a book or the instructor, but it will be jointly created by instructor and their students, and this is a very important concept. We don't have much time to talk about all the aspects of this tool, but another thing, I want to mention that there is a tool and a platform which is called H5P, where for example, in English courses, the English professor can design their own activities, and it's a very simple to use, and it's open and free, that you can engage, you can design engaging activity for your student. For example, if you are teaching a language course, student can use those activities to record their voices and listen back, and the instructor listen back, so on and so forth. And we have a long list of training that we should conduct, hopefully, in the near future at NDU. If we have no more other question, time is, it's almost 1:30 now. I just want to thank the presenters, Dr. Maya, and Dr. Nathalia, for their excellent presentation today. And we hope to see you all tomorrow with another interesting topic with Dr. Sensening. He will be talking about open pedagogy and Paulo Freire. This is something very interesting to listen to. So I hope to see you all tomorrow. I want to thank you again. Thank you for attending this webinar, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.